Hello and welcome everyone. In today's episode, we continue reflecting on the diary of a nobody along with timeless wisdom of how to stop worrying and start living. We will explore self worth, social expectations, and why we do not need to constantly validate to feel confident and at peace. So, today's conversation is about confidence, identity, and inner strength. So, let's begin. Over to you, Dr. Geeta.
Thank you, Sritapa. Hi, everyone. Today's spotlight is shining on Mr. Charles Pooter from The Diary of Nobody by George and Weedon Grossmith. He is an epic man of dignity, discipline, and disastrous timing. A gentleman who records every tiny triumph and catastrophic embarrassment with the clarity of a world leader, even when the crisis is of his boot polish being licked off by dogs. He's ambitious, respectable, deeply sensitive, and gloriously unaware. But here's the twist. The more we laugh at Putter, the more we see ourselves. The awkward dinner comments, the intellectual insecurity, the desperate need to appear important. Does it sound familiar? So, join us as we unpack the comedy, the cringe, and the quiet brilliance hidden inside the diary of a nobody. So, one evening, as Pooter is returning home from the office, he meets a former schoolmate from his childhood, Teddy Finsworth, who invites the Pooters to dinner at his uncle's house. Upon their arrival, however, they are immediately uncomfortable. A large pet dog jumps up at them and carries light colored dresses soiled. The house is already full, with six other guests having arrived for the dinner, and the atmosphere feels far from welcoming. It feels very, very heavy. On the wall of the house hang two framed photographs. In one, a lady appears particularly sad. Attempting polite conversation, Pooter remarks on her expression, only to be told bluntly that she looks sad because she's dead. The second photograph shows a jovial, plump gentleman who seems carefree and happy. Pooter comments on this as well and is informed to his horror that this man also is dead. Pooter is actually embarrassed by his own lack of tact. Relieved to escape the awkward moment, they proceed to the dining room to join the other guests. During dinner, several pet dogs lie under the table and lick Pooter's boots. Though deeply irritated, he is unable to complain. So when they finally leave, Pooter discovers that all the polish has been licked off his boots, leaving them shabby and dull, and young boys in the street laugh openly at him. Later that evening, going and coming drop into his house for a visit. So during the conversation, Pooter attempts to share a dream he has had, an elaborate vision involving huge blocks of ice in a shop catching fire. Before he can finish, the others and his wife and son also laugh at him. Pooter feels hurt and humiliated. Hooters again attend a dinner with one Mr. Huttle, a clever and well-known writer for the American newspaper. Mr. Huttle does most of the talking. His conversation is highly intellectual, sometimes outlandish. Pooter listens attentively but feels entirely unable to contribute, and he secretly makes notes of some of Mr. Huttle's remarks, convinced that they are exceptionally clever and worth remembering. In fact, Mr. Huttle reminds Pooters strongly of Lupin, and imagining him years later grown older but just as confident, unconventional, and outspoken leave them both amused. A terrible misfortune occurs now as Lupin is dismissed from Mr. Percup's office. One day, a highly valued client, Mr. Crobillion, arrives with the intention of withdrawing his business. And Lupin not only receives him, but to Pooter's horror, recommends another firm altogether. Lupin is now taken out from his position. He is fired, but he is unconcerned about his dismissal. Across these chapters, we see how humor lies in contrast between Pooter's intense seriousness and the absurdity of social life, between his fear of disgrace and the effortless confidence of those around him, especially his son Lupin. No matter how earnestly Pooter tries to preserve dignity persistently slips through his fingers. So, viewers, my question is it that Pooter's greatest weakness is his lack of confidence? and his attachment to social approval, which pulls him back, while Lupin's boldness and reckless arrogance help him to succeed. So, Dr. Siddharth, I ask you for your reflection. Please share your reflection, please.
Thank you, Dr. Geeta. I feel, and thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story from Pooter and his son Lupin's, ordeals. I feel it is important that we fail, and we fail graciously. We understand that failure is part of our learning. Unless we do that and we take every step after that cautiously, learning from that failure, unless we do that, I think we cannot become confident anytime. Uh, there are two contrasting characters here completely. You can see like Pooter, who is, though he is doing things, he is lacking confidence, while his son uh, is arrogant and confident at the same point of time. So how does it happen that the father is like this and the son like very different? Maybe because he has seen his father failing and feeling low confident, but then from that low confidence he has got that courage to actually face the world in a different way. I feel that might be the psychology behind it, uh, which has been my psychology as well, because I've seen my father fail at certain point of time, and then I got that courage that this failure is, just transient. We will come over that. His learning has helped me to be very cautious on in certain areas. One of the very hilarious incident I remember is uh, we were actually shifting our places. We had rent place, so we were shifting from one place to the another, and we wanted to actually get the fans, demounted from, I mean, just taken out of the place, ceiling fans. So these ceiling fans were quite a heavy ones, and this is time when the old ceiling fan used to be there. We had a very solid base, and they were very heavy ones. And he had called somebody, but that person didn't come. We were getting late. So thought of, okay, let's do it. Now, he was not confident at all how to bring out the ceiling fan, but he was like looking forward to do it. I had no clue of it. I was just learning and seeing him doing it, and I was helping him. But something went wrong there. The blade where he was unscrewing, it fell, and it fell just very closely. I mean, his feet was on the stool. It just crossed his feet, and then we got very cautious. Oh my God! Then he said, "No, no, no. This I cannot do this." And he was losing confidence at that point. The moment I saw him doing that and that blade falling, I realized I'm not going to do this anytime in my life. So, yeah, and I've seen even people who are professional actually struggling with bringing the fan down. So it is a big task. So we should never, try to do things which we don't have confidence on. Yes, he could have learned it, doing it again and again, but he took a decision, no, it is unsafe. Even I took a decision, it was unsafe. So I think it is like these decisions or some, lessons we learn from the failures that we shape our lives. And maybe it's a very small incident to be taken into consideration, but actually that helped us, spend quality time doing something else rather than things which we don't know, and then we are trying to, maybe harm ourselves doing that. So I feel that is how I'll take these learnings, and confidence comes from failures. I took a confident decision that I don't want to do these kind of activities, but that is what important decision was for my life. So that's my take at it. Over to you, Shikapa.
Thank you, Siddharth. And yes, do not bring down the ceiling fan. We got it. And I'm sure others are also listening to you and they will now take a call whether to do that as an adventure or not to do it. I leave it to audience. But yes, I can like add on to it with one of the situations which I feel often happens and many would relate to is like people sometimes they people expect certain things from us, and like for example from especially from daughter-in-law, there is a lot of opinions come when she enters the family, like how she should behave, what she should cook, how she should manage the house, and all these things come up. But here's one thing which I would like to share is you do not need to constantly seek everyone's approval. It is impossible to please everyone always. So what it matters is we stay happy, we we allow ourselves to be us and act respectfully and show kindness, because that kindness is also for us and just not for others. So I feel we need not seek validation and approval always in life. This can apply for your job life, this can apply for your personal life, this can apply for anywhere and everywhere where you feel always you need to take approval. So I would like Sujata ji to add more on this.
Thank you, Shritapa. That was such a nice message, not to seek validation. And that's what Carnegie also advises us. And that's the same thing we see also in the Diary of a Nobody. What does Pooter endure? He endures a spoiled child, money anxieties, a son who moves out, an engagement announced confidently. And the persistent feeling that he gets is that the world rewards audacity more than sincerity. That would be so easy to end in bitterness. But this is where Dale Carnegie's deepest principle quietly unfolds. When you cannot control the chaos, cooperate with the inevitable. You cannot prevent every social absurdity. You cannot dictate your adult child's life choices. Pooter spends most of his diary resisting the inevitable. But also, we see that when Lupin begins earning well, Pooter feels that audacity seems to be rewarded, and yet he does not explode. So you see the change that comes over him, and that is growth. Carnegie teaches that peace does not come from being right, it comes from choosing relationship over ego. Throughout the diary, Pooter worries about being taken seriously. In the end, what remains? What remains is family. Carnegie's philosophy culminates here. When something cannot be changed, say to yourself, it is so, cannot be otherwise. Lupin will live boldly, society will reward confidence, life will remain uneven, and yet love continues. So, a final shared takeaway from these two wonderful books is this: Carnegie's Science of Worry and Pooter's Comic Tragedy converge on the same quiet truth. Peace is not found in controlling life's plot, it is found in how we respond when the plot twists against us. It is found in acceptance, in adaptability, and in focusing on what truly endures, not our social standing or our investments, but our relationships and our character. Pooter spends his whole diary worrying about everything he could not control. In the final crisis, when the worst actually happens, he finally stops worrying and starts living. He closes the gap between Carnegie's ideal and his own reality. So that's what I wanted to say. Now, Jasveer, over to you. Would you like to add something?
Yes, Sujata. So Carnegie gave us a very strong message about acceptance, adaptability, uh, and being able to, live life without worry, and at the same time being able to focus on our goals. And a very glaring example is of the famous scientist Thomas Edison. There, there has been news that he failed at least 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Imagine a world without electricity, without light. And he gave us light, not by his sheer determination, not by giving up. He accepted the fact that it won't happen immediately, and he adapted to every failure, gave him an opportunity to move ahead and create something which we will always be grateful to Thomas Edison. Just imagine if he had given up at the 800th attempt, it would have been such a disaster. He went on, being persistent, being regular, and overcoming all. It didn't matter to him what society would have said. There must have been so much of interference from outsiders and so much of negativity. There must have been so much of criticism, because a failure is not easily accepted in our society. And he kept failing, kept trying, kept failing, kept trying, until and unless he gave the most powerful product to this world. The experiment gave him something that we will be grateful for zillions and billions of years, something which really changed the face of the earth and the lives of human beings and all creatures on this planet. And his resilience was also obvious when at the age of 67, in the year 1914, his entire laboratory was destroyed by a fire. Yet he did not give up. He immediately started rebuilding it. Imagine at an age when he would have been sensitive, when he would have been, very mild in his mentality, and would have got affected by this emotionally. But what he did is he just started working again on it. So it's all about adjustment, adaptability, persistence, and that inner willingness to focus on your work and to give something to the world in return. So it's hats off to his determination, because his idea was, I have not failed 1,000 times, but I have found out 1,000 ways that have not worked towards achieving my goal. And that attitude has been his a blessing to the world. So yes, now over to you, to Dr. Geeta, to continue with the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasbir. That's a wonderful message that you have just conveyed. And his story is so beautiful. He didn't allow failure to hold him back from succeeding gloriously. And when he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times, it was 1,000 times that helped me to learn my true potential. And it is so wonderful. So coming back to Pooter, we find that this is something that would have helped him if he had known what he had to learn. So in the weekend, Pooter and Carrie go to visit their family friends, Mr. and Mrs. James. Pooter's pleasure of the evening is destroyed by the behavior of their only son, little Percy, Mr. and Mrs. James' son, Percy. He's a thoroughly spoiled child. Percy kicks Pooter repeatedly on the shin with such force that tears come to Pooter's eyes. Percy continues to shout and run about the room. Carrie attempts to calm him, only to receive a slap on her face in return. An Italian family friend then takes Percy onto his lap, but the child kicks him violently and declares with brutal honesty that he does not like it because he has a dirty face. Another gentleman tries to take Percy by the wrist and show him his watch, this pocket watch and chain. But Percy promptly snatches the watch and flings it onto the floor and bounces it like a ball. Now, Pooter privately reflects that this is impossible, as Percy, in his opinion, is the ugliest child he has ever seen and the most spoiled. Pooter also dislikes Mrs. James' visit to their own home, because as she comes to visit there, she tends to stay for several days and also fills Carrie's head with new ideas about fashion, which Carrie then tries to put into practice. And on Mrs. James' next visit, she introduces the subject of spiritualism and lends Carrie a book on the matter. Soon afterwards, Carrie joins her in organizing a seance at home. The seance is where they will be connecting with the spirits by, calling out to the spirits with some rituals. So with this intention of communicating with the spirits, Pooter firmly states that he does not believe in such nonsense and refuses to take part. However, their neighbor Going and Cummings show great interest and eagerly join the circle. Going produces a sealed envelope declaring that he has written a question inside. If the spirits can answer it without the envelope being opened, he will believe in spiritualism. And Mrs. James confidently assures him that this is entirely possible. The spirits are consulted, and the response comes roses, lilies, and cows. When the envelope is opened, it is revealed that the question inside is, what is the age of Pooter? Pooter is utterly mortified. This is the final indignity. He feels he is not the master of his house anymore. Everybody is laughing at him. In the year end, Pooter looks back through his diary and reflects on all that has taken place during the past months. He and Carrie feel a quiet sadness that Lupin, now earning a handsome salary, has chosen to move into furnished apartments, and Mr. and Mrs. Murray Posh has become their very close, his close friend. And Lupin now invites his parents to dinner at his new residence, and they meet Murray Posh and Daisy's younger sister, who is tall, plain, and about 30 years old, and she has fair hair and dark eyebrows. Throughout the evening, she giggles continuously, kisses Lupin, pinches him playfully, and emits a shrill laugh, even when there is nothing to laugh at. Both Pooter and Carrie find her intensely irritating. During the evening, Pooter quietly takes Lupin aside and expresses his hope that he is not living beyond his means. The Pooters reflect gloomily that money seems very unevenly distributed in society because Lupin is now living his life as he wishes to. The chapter concludes with Lupin writing to announce to his dad and mom that he is engaged to be married to the little girl Daisy and that the wedding will take place in August. Thus, the chapter ends filled with triumph, irony, and the promise of further upheavals to come. On this note, I want to ask you all viewers, do these chapters suggest that society rewards intelligence and audacity over sincerity and hard work? And does Pooter's constant disappointment make him a comic failure or a quietly dignified figure in an absurd world? So, I invite Dr. Siddharth to share your reflection with us. Please, Dr. Siddharth.
Thank you, Dr. Geeta, for that hilarious incident, chapter from these stories of Pooter and Lupin. And I'm sure Lupin is, learning very fast based on whatever his experiences have been with his upbringing. And he finally realizes that there is lot of wealth and lot of good life there with rich people, and he moves to the richer side. My take at it is that yes, when we are confident, we can actually create our own presence, even though people are laughing at us or people are mocking us initially. But with good, um, I think the understanding of ourselves, our strengths, we can actually achieve something which is unimaginable. I have seen that happening with so many people around the world, and I used to think that it is like maybe only few successful people can do it, or it is a matter of luck, or it is a matter of money, people who have money and things like that. But over a period of time, I've realized that actually you hold your own worth, and your mind is very powerful. If you in your mind have that power to create something worthy for yourself, then you will show that light to others also, and somebody will be getting attracted towards you, and maybe you can make a lot of fortune out of that. So I feel that is where we have to be very confident about what our thought process is. And even though maybe we are failing, but we can actually create a good worthy person out of good worth out of that, and then we can succeed in our life. Though there are people like Pooter who have seen a lot of disappointment, and they get disappointed over a period of time because society is saying something, and they fall in the trap of what society talks about them or laughs at them and things like that. But then that is where I think the confidence of a person's value and worth matters rather than believing on what others think about. So it's a it's important that we know ourselves better. We build our foundation based on our mind power, the powers which we are capable of achieving. And then based on that, we build something which is very strong, and success can come after that. So that is how I take it. Over to you, Shitapa.
Thank you, Siddharth, and very rightly said. Yes, if we can value ourselves and we understand our worth, then definitely the world sees it the way we see ourselves. So, so this with this, I will also like to add one of my experience. Like while growing up, I was very thin, and I had some health issues also as a child. When I was child, I had health issues, and uh, I was admitted in a hospital for a month or so. But and after that, I never put on weight. Okay, so I had a lot of childhood time where people came to my home and said, she is not putting on weight, she is very thin. And that went on for some time. Then I grew up. I was okay by that time. But then another problem crept in that I was not interested in kitchen or doing the girls' work which is needed in Indian homes. I was not into it too much. I was more outgoing and doing all the work my dad liked to do. I used to pick up those kind of work. So now the close people who came in, and they started saying like she's not even learning to cook and she's not even knowing to do the girl stuff. So all this was going, but I was not uh, adult by that time. I was still a child. Okay. So honestly, it didn't affect me as a child. I didn't focus on what their feedback was. I just smiled and went like a child, very innocently, as if nothing happened. And it didn't affect me socially at all. But sometimes it's all about, understanding. As a child, it didn't bother. It never impacted me because I never focused in those words. And my parents were not bothered, and that didn't bother me at all. So later on, I felt that knowing your own worth is very important, and not letting everyone's feedback define you. So that's what I will say. As from my childhood experience, I could uh, grow over as not accepting all feedback and thinking that as me, rather than defining your own way of what you are. So, with this, Sujata, I will like you to add more insights from the book Stop Worrying and Start Living. How to stop worrying and start living.
Thank you, Shritapa. Actually, knowing your own worth, as you just said, is so very important. And Pooter, of course, doesn't seem to know it at all, as Dr. Geeta has also narrated. He is perturbed over Percy the spoiled child. Skips doesn't like the visit of Mrs. James, doesn't like the Chaunce's visit. Carnegie reminds us, remember that the person who tries and fails is infinitely superior to the one who never tries. Pooter's embarrassment comes not from incompetence, but from overthinking how he appeared. Confidence does not come from matching others word for word. It comes from accepting that your worth is not diminished by someone else's fluency. Carnegie advises build a mental umbrella. Do your best, speak sincerely, and when the rain of laughter or indifference falls, let it roll off. Pooter lives by approval. Lupin lives by impulse. Carnegie would advise Pooter to open his own four things I've done file. A little humility about our own mistakes softens our judgment of others. So the takeaway is this: life's persistent irritations and small disappointments are inevitable. The defense is a three-part shield. Don't magnify trivia, interpret slights as signs of life, and temper your criticism with self awareness. Now, over to you, Jasveer, if you would like to add on something to this. Thank you.
Yes, Sujata, I agree that life is going to give us problems, and it's finally, our decision to face those with the right kind of attitude. Uh, and also, there'll be a lot of criticism and, a lot of opposition from outside outside your family and from society. But it all finally depends on our focus and our determination to achieve. One great example is of Chef Vikas Khanna, who was born in Amritsar in Punjab, and he was a humble. He was from a family in Punjab, and his humble beginnings were in Amritsar, and he had a love to cook food, and serve, and in fact, even as a child he had a physical challenge of having a club foot. In spite of all these challenges, his leg deformity did not, affect him. He could not even run till the age of 13. And he spent his early years in leg braces. Now, he found his passion for cooking in his grandmother's kitchen. And at 17, which is you're just a teenager, he started his own catering business called Lawrence Gardens. And all this irrespective of the fact that he was in a society where it was not considered great for a man to get into cooking, and more so to on a level to be able to create a business out of it, and to create a career, a profession out of it. Now he got a lot of criticism, and he wanted to go and study cookery abroad, and he wanted to study culinary arts. And he got criticism where when he started this catering business, his uncles told his mother that, what do you think that he will just become a bawarchi, which is a Hindi term for a lowly cook in the very famous restaurant of Amritsar called Quality. And he said, you think he'll become that? Or do you think he can serve the president of America? He can serve him food? And his mother, Vikas Khanna's mother, immediately told her brother that so be it. She said tathastu, which means so be it. And history never looks back, and there is nothing to be, surprised. But Vikas Khanna became a Michelin star chef in New York. He has his restaurant called Bungalow, which he started in 2024. And he has the privilege to be a chef who has served three presidents of the United States of America. So it's just his determination, his willpower, which has made him overcome. He did not seek validation from anyone in society. He worked, overcame all his difficulties, even physical difficulty, and he had managed to achieve such a grand name for himself. And he's not only brought fame to himself, but to even Indian cuisine abroad in the Western world. So it's a great blessing to us to have people around like that. So now I hand it over to Shitapa to conclude for today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasbir. Very insightful story, a real life story which can inspire many that do not seek validation to what your heart says. And to wrap up, I will say that not everyone will understand us, and that is okay. We don't need to constantly seek approvals to feel our worth. You know your worth, and when we stay kind, confident, and grounded within, that is enough. See you in the next episode again in Brunch with Books. Hope you liked today's conversation. Do like, share, and subscribe and support us and keep the reading habit on. See you another time. Tata. Bye bye. Take care.